internet. Welcome. Thank you to everyone who has been watching and supporting I like to say HOFOCO because that is very fun to say, panel where we are raising money today with all of our sweet Trek friends. We are here today, right now, to talk animated Trek and what is so special about it. My name is Ashley Victoria Robinson. You may know me from being the lady on Roddenberry who screams about how much I love the animated shows as made by all of these fabulous people. Joining me today, we have boss of Lower Decks, Mike McMahan. We have both bosses of Prodigy, Dan and Kevin Hageman. Did I say that right? Did I say that wrong? All pressure's off now. Thanks, guys, for coming and chatting with me. This is so exciting.
We are so excited. Thank you for having us so much. We're so happy and so lucky to be helping out.
You're welcome.
I mean, when a Denobulan calls, what other choice do we have, right?
It's true.
So,
and it's for an amazing cause. Like right before we get into all the Star Trek stuff, like we're so excited you guys are doing this. And, you know, obviously hunger was a problem before, but even now, like, you know, we're seeing it all over LA. Like every little bit helps. So smash that donate button, everybody. I donated before we hopped on, and this is an awesome cause, and I'm so glad you guys are doing it.
I like that you say smash the donate button in place of smash the subscribe button.
We're on the internet, you know?
Bro, come on, hit that bell. So I wanted to start with like a really fun question for me personally, and I hope that everybody else cares as well, because we are all stuck inside and we're streaming things and we're revisiting a lot of other things that we have favorited. For everyone on the panel, what are some touchstone episodes from previous series that you have returned to when burdened with the glorious purpose of creating animated Trek for the first time since, you know, the Golden Age?
Well, I think like you're going to get a funny range of answers here because we are all deep into our seasons. And I think that there's those touchstone episodes that you go to at the beginning that are your favorites. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, like I'll watch The Inner Light. And obviously for Lower Decks, like the first one you want to watch is my favorite episode, which is Lower Decks. And you hop around all the series. But I've actually found that just treating Trek like you do as a fan, where, you know, nobody sits down and it's like, today I watched this episode, you know, like for me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to pop it on and like, kind of like roll the dice a little bit and then let it run. Like nobody's eating one potato chip and nobody's watching one Trek. Like you kind of let them run for a while. And that's where I find the most inspiration is in episodes I've seen 100 times, but I've never have been looking at with the eye of, I'm going to go and write Star Trek later and like learning from their victories and their stumbles and stuff. And, you know, it's really the roll of the dice for me. Like I can't really point to an episode. It's like, I'll throw on a mid-season Voyager and I'll hop to an Enterprise and I'll go back to Deep Space Nine. Like it's, you know, I like not thinking that I know the one or two episodes anymore that are going to be the ones that I'm trying to hit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Mike gave me a non-answer. So Dan and Kevin,
I said Inner Light too.
No, I mean, I remember when we first started, I mean, yeah, a little bit of like what Mike was saying, like we were always looking at what were those episodes that blew our minds for, like we recently did the episode with the Samaris. The name of, Kevin, what's the name of the last episode that just came out?
First Contact.
First Contact.
First Contact.
And so like we have sorry, my brain's like that.
How dare you forget an episode that you worked on months and months ago?
Well, no, and it just shows you, I don't remember. I was just thinking about this. I don't remember song titles. I don't remember episode names. So I have a tough time. I just have this like, you know, years of watching. We wanted to evoke that idea of like an alien that would blow your mind. And that's to us when we watch Star Trek. There'd be episodes like, is there no truth and no beauty? Like things that would just like open up we wanted to blow little kids' heads up in a sense, you know, to watch it. This is so different than anything we've ever seen before. So I think for touchstones, it's like, what's so great about working on Prodigy is that we get to do all the touchstones. We get to like, in the sense of, you know, we get to do the first alien, the first contact. We get to do the first away mission. We get to do all those things. And so going back, we're always looking at different episodes of what are the best away mission episodes. And that's the stuff that we're looking at.
Actually, all Star Trek creators only watch Samaritan Snare. We don't watch any of the other episodes. You go back and you're like, we gotta just do Samaritan Snare. You know, we don't want to say it, but that's we all know it's true. Start
I
with
was I was expecting a lot more things like Spock's brain and a piece of the action, because both Lower Decks and Prodigy are kind of legendary in Trek fandom for the Easter eggs and for like unexpected mentions and winking and nodding. And I think even though the shows are obviously very tonally different and aimed for two very different audiences, the pressure to pull out that level of Easter eggs has to just be insurmountable. So that's why I wanted to ask about the episodes, to be like, what are you looking at that you pull all of these references from? And do you ever get anyone telling you that, ooh, can we save this because someone else is using it? Or are you kind of allowed to run rampant with the Easter eggs that you want to include?
It's funny. It's for us, the Easter eggs come last. Like it comes, when we're breaking these stories, we're talking about thematically, why is this a Lower Deck story? Why is it funny? Why is it emotional? Why is it based on the characters? How does it move the story forward incrementally? How does it feel Star Trek? And then once we have all of that, everybody who's writing on our show is a huge Trek fan. So that's when references start to kind of creep in, because as they're writing the episodes, they're putting their favorite stuff in. And then the artists are fans. And so they start to creep their stuff in. So there really isn't any policing or goal for Easter eggs. Like, the three of us here will hop on the phone every once in a while to be like, hey, here's what I'm doing this season. Here's a character I'm going to have pop up, because, Prodigy and Lower Decks takes place pretty close to each other in the timeline. And we just want to make sure that, like, the last thing we want to do is repeat each other, so that when you're watching a Trek, it's like, wait, didn't I just see this? But everything else is it's so personal that we don't really run into, the kind of things that we put in that you guys call Easter eggs, but we would call texture, I guess, or like, things that make it feel like Star Trek and that feel like a celebration of it and stuff. We're not really comparing notes on that stuff, because I think everybody has a personal relationship to it, and it's all built into the world. I mean, I'm not answering for these guys, but that's how it is on Lower Decks at least.
No, it's the same, I think, for us. I mean, Kevin, we can speak to, like, in Kobayashi, they had the game. And originally that was like a SETI eel. We just wanted to make like a little SETI eel game of like making fun of the little stupid snake games. And Patrick Krebs was like, we got to put in the game and the Conan disc game. And we're like, okay, let's throw that in there.
Yeah. And I think if you saw, if you're watching Prodigy, you'll see that, especially these first 10 episodes, we started off with what are the greatest hits. I mean, our show is introducing kids and a new audience to Trek. And so we really wanted to make sure each of these first episodes, like First Contact, let's just discuss that. Let's have an episode all about that. So kids can start understanding these are the tenets, these are the ingredients that make Trek,
So I have to ask Dan and Kevin, because Mike has had this Jack's standee back there in a couple times that I've seen him. So, which I keep saying I'm coming to steal someday when there's no more COVID. That's when I'm going to break into your house. But can we expect standees in future, Prodigy style standees?
That's a standee. That's like that's a standee, a stand-up.
They make and sell those?
You run consumer products, right? You can tell me this.
We will get on our team. We will make standees, I guess. Ours will be a lot shorter, but yeah, we'll make standees.
Yeah, the number one thing I'm always screaming for is I'm like, merchandise. I want everyone.
We all want it. But I think, and we've dealt with a lot of properties in regards to toys with Ninjago and Troll Hunters. And like, the thing is, it's for toys, they come out like the year after. No one wants to stock up their shelves on a show that's untested. So when a show does well, and then they're in the process of making these toys. So they will be coming. They'll be hitting the shelves a little later.
Yeah, I think they're planning later this year. We'll start seeing some stuff.
I was just going to say, there you go, everybody. All the journalists watching, they will be coming.
Yes, and we've seen them. We've seen them and we've played with them, and they are amazing.
Save your money.
Played with them?
What?
Well, they're like the main model things where you can't break them. You don't want to like.
I'm jealous. Can I play with some of them sometimes? Do you guys want to do a play date?
Yeah.
All right.
Come over.
Go to the park, be nice, socially distanced from each other. It's all going to be great. It's all going to be super, super safe.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to hear that it takes a year for toys to come out, because I know with animation you have such a lag time between when you start writing it, when it gets animated, and then when it hits streamers and fans like myself. So I wanted to ask, because you've all worked on a ton of animated properties before, what has been different about creating Star Trek specifically than some of the other animated projects you worked on?
Do you mean from like a merch standpoint, or from just a
Oh
general
no,
standpoint of
I
making
just mean the
stuff?
whole creative process. But we can still talk merch.
No. I think obviously the pressure's on a lot higher when you're working with something that is so important to you and that has 600 previous episodes made of it, both a mix of film, live action, and animation. Like it's what stories do you want to tell? Why is it personal? How do you honor it but do something new? I think like in the nitty gritty, we have a lot more computer generated ships and entities in this show than I'm usually used to working with, and that
You have a lot of ships in your shows, though. There's a lot of cool vehicles.
There's vehicles and stuff, but usually it's not like fully 3D rendered different teams, like,
There's not 20 different models of the car in Solar Opposites. What?
No, in Solar Opposites, it's all 2D. Well, sometimes it's 3D, but like, I guess on other shows, you're not like if we're making something in Lower Decks, we're looking at every existing model and being like, do we want to create something new or use something that exists? And we're digging into kind of like, the archives and making sure that part of the fun of making a Star Trek show is not just honoring stuff and referencing stuff, but like really going out of your way to make it feel like everything really feels like Star Trek all the time. And there's a lot of like every needle that you thread, there's like 5 more needles after, and you're like, I got this. Okay, there's more. Oh, we're doing more. There's more needles, and but it's fun. That's what makes it so satisfying when it works,
Yeah, I feel like it's like, for us, we're trying to make an accessible show for all, but we know there's a firing squad, like waiting to pause the screen and being like, look at the graphic here, look at this here.
No,
and it's tough because they do it. And so far we've been pretty good so far, I think, but there's always like little details that sometimes will keep you up at night. Like, did we think about everything? Oh my gosh, well, what about this time travel aspect, or what about that aspect, or whatever it is? And we know it's like like even if you look at in the Ferengi episode in First Contact, we knew they're like, it's like I've already forgotten the title. That's and it's not like that title's been used before. So
never.
No, but it's like we knew we're like, okay, Dal running into Nandi, like the odds of traveling 4,000 light years, and then hey, wouldn't you know it, the person who helped raise him. We're like, we knew that in the writer's room, but we still wanted to tell that story. And we have people like Aaron Walke who are like, and we have like, Shauna Benson who will be like, well, and they've been breaking rules a million times in like all the Star Trek episodes. So don't, like give yourself a little bit of a break.
And also, I think
that, go ahead.
I was going to say also the pressure of, not only Star Trek, but trying to do Star Trek for both kids and adults, just doing really, solid entertainment that's going to reach everyone has been a huge pressure on us, and making sure we do this right, because I would hate like if we did our show and, oh, great, we have all the adult Trek fans loving it, but kids don't dig it. I'm like, well, we've just failed. So
you haven't.
I've never had a show where you write the script and then you polish it, you punch up the jokes, you do everything you usually do, and then it gets sent to our science advisor, Dr. Aaron McDonald, who's then gets on the phone with me and is like, okay, listen, here's some sci-fi stuff that you got so close to making sense, and here's how we're going to make it make sense. And I actually love those because like it's like it being a ludicrous show and being funny and being animated, but that like the science technically makes sense is really just like, there's no other show that rewards you so much but feels right on a Star Trek. I love that part of it.
I want to give a shout out to the fans too. Sorry, Ashley. I just want to say like, I thought was amazing. Like we've been doing everything we can to hold secrets back. And we had an event where we were, people were watching the pilot, and there was a champagne stand where they took artwork and they just threw it on the back of this thing. And we were trying to hide the proto warp. It was never in anything. And like on this like thing, someone took a picture of the, of the LCARS thing, whatever it is, it says proto warp, and all of a sudden it went out into the internet, and people were like, "What's the proto warp?" Before like it ever came out, and so it's amazing. They hunt it down.
I was going to say that it's interesting to me that your shows are aimed at such different audience. Like you're almost at both ends of the human experience, like a very young audience and then a very mature audience, or perhaps immature, depending on how you want to view the comedy. But I think that I'll fight anyone who wants to fight me on Twitter. I think that both teams are making the most exciting Trek because you're operating for these audiences that are not what you would consider, I think, a traditional Trek audience. And I just wanted to say that and to like give you your applause and kudos because they're the two shows that I'm most excited about. It's like, I'm just geeked to be here and listen to all of your genius. But now, because you're all professional writers, I want to ask you a writing question. If you got to do an amazing crossover because your shows do exist in the same time, is there a character or an aspect or an element from the opposite person's show that you would most like to play with in your continuity? And if that's too big a question for people to answer right away, I can just keep talking and vamping because I know
what's funny is there's two answers to this, like a crowd pleaser answer, or we actually start doing work and being like, how would we really do it? And that would be boring to like,
I do think we always talked about like which show would translate better over to the other one. Like, I mean, it's tough.
We've talked about a crossover and like how, but how would you even do that?
You still my heart.
Well, it's really fun. Yeah.
You want to, yeah.
How do you, like I'm guessing our turnaround with our animation process compared to Mike's is so much slower. I mean, I'm expecting like our season 2 will come out and it's going to be like season 8 of Lower Decks.
I hope.
Right?
Not for your guys' sake, but I mean,
yeah. To give you perspective too, we finished writing episode 20 right when right when the breakout hit, and so our room wrapped like at that time.
Oh wow!
I almost swore.
It's go about 2 years to get our episodes out.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're in the middle of doing post on season 3. Like I think we're about to ship the 7th animatic, so like we're deep into it. We're 27 episodes in now. But by the way, your guys' characters feel kind of like future cadets to me. So like, and my guys are ensigns trying to move up in the world, and it does feel like they do share a kindred spirit of like there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of stuff you think that turns out you kind of only knew it. Like I feel like if anybody from my show was going to interact with your guys, like the spirit of Tendi, our character Tendi, would be kind of the one that would, absolutely geek out to like.
I could see them haze.
Tendi and Rutherford would geek out over the protostar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I could see Boimler and Mariner like hazing.
I see them. Yeah, I see them putting them through the ropes. Rock Talk's my new best friend. Like.
Yeah.
And Mariner being like, we should never go back. Let's replicate more stuff here. They got better, cooler replicators than we do.
I just want to say though, I want Murph on the Cerritos to eat all the things so badly. It would be so cute. And
Murph has Cerritos energy. Janko Dog does too. I think our guys would be jealous of how cool the Protostar is, because the Cerritos is like a tugboat, and Protostar is like
it's pretty high tech.
Or also, I mean, I think, our crew has never been on a giant, Starfleet ship. They've been on, the Protostar is a little bit of a hummingbird, sort of size.
They've been the kings of their own castle, so to speak. They haven't had to share. They haven't had to. They haven't had people over them.
I think Dal and all of them would probably struggle having to be on a giant ship and realizing that they're just one of many instead of just, small.
And with someone as powerful as Freeman in charge of them all of a sudden, because they can turn Janeway off if they're tired of her.
Yeah, non-holographic captain. That's always fun.
Oh man, what a fun thought experiment. And then because they just explored the holodeck, the Cerritos holodeck is like legendarily cursed. So
Yeah,
how
it's-
does Badgie stand up next to the Protostar crew?
You can't get Badgie near your guys. He would destroy them. And I can tell. Is John here because he's gonna hit us with the?
I'm the hook. I'm the hook.
The hook? Yeah,
but-
he's hooking us right
yeah,
up.
I'm the hook. I know this is terrible. This is my species, the Denobulans. We are the party crashers of the universe. We just kind of jump in. We expect to be fed. We expect to be entertained.
You're gonna puff your face at us.
Yeah, this was my idea for a show that kind of got rejected. Old Fat Flocks, where old fat flock that sits on a box and regales you with stories while young actors act them out in real time. And I get a paycheck. I only work half a day.
I love it.
They can live 300 years, right?
Has not been picked up. Yeah, we can live forever.
I'd greenlight it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
we just did.
Yes, thank you guys so much. I can't thank you enough, not only for the wonderful work you've done, and I know the fans have been so excited about getting to see you all together, but for supporting through your appearance today, the Hollywood Food Coalition. I'm going to continue to keep alive my challenge. If you make a $40 donation, I will put $10 to match it to bring it up to an even 50. I'm going to keep that going. I think for the rest of the day, we're pushing on $17,000. I want to say that our goal for the day is 25, but I'm afraid to say that because if we hit 25, then I'll have to say, oh, we've made it, never mind. So instead, I'll say every dollar you are donating goes to help feed people in need, goes to help allow us to share food with all sorts of not-for-profits all through the LA region. Coming up, one of my favorite videos, we try and protect the anonymity of our clients as best we can. So we don't show a lot of material showing the folks we work with, but we work with thousands of people. This video coming up is a volunteer who wanted us to tell his story. You're going to see the UCLA Mobile Vision Clinic, which comes to our campus every other week. And you're going to meet a gentleman who, because of the work we did there, got a